Well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to a special edition of the Andrew Eborn Show. I'm joined by Ben Habib with a very special announcement. Ben, welcome back.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me on.
So tell me, a post has gone out now at 6:39 p.m. on the 6th of September. Advanced UK reached 30,000 members in just over 2 months. They say this is something that no other movement has achieved in modern British politics. Talk to me about that moment.
No, it was interesting. I was in a pizzeria with my son, his wife, and my granddaughter and my mother, and I was watching it because I could see we were getting close to 30,000, and which is a self-imposed figure that for membership that I put in place in order to make sure that the people agreed with me that we need a new political party. And I was watching this ticker in the pizza and boom, 6:39, it went to 30. I can't tell you. It was a sort of moment of elation for me because even though it looked odds on that we'd make it, there were periods where, new memberships were a bit slow. Some days we had maybe 100, not more than that. And if you extrapolate that out, it would take ages. And then other days we'd get like 1,000. And so it was like the highs and lows of getting to 30,000 was, interesting. And anyway, we got there. And that's the key thing. We've got there. We're well past 30,000 now. People have gone on joining. And we are going to be applying to the Electoral Commission for full party registration in Great Britain. I am donating £100,000 to the party, which was the pledge that I made, that once we hit the 30,000 figure, that's what I'll do. And we will therefore move forward with an army of people across the United Kingdom who can campaign for us during elections. And we'll also be, 500,000 isn't a massive amount of money, but it's certainly enough to get all the infrastructure of the party in place, get our portal in place for merchandise, establish regions in the country and start promoting our brand. Because as much as you can do on social media, the critical thing here is to get to grassroots, the British voter. You've got to get to the British voter, and that's why the 30,000 too was important. As a means of doing that. So yeah, I'm delighted, as you can probably tell.
Oh, absolutely, and
Yeah.
we followed you on that journey. You launched, if you like, Advance UK on 7:30, I think it was, on the 30th of June. We talked about your
Yeah.
mission, and we followed you with those ever increasing numbers. Just remind us, because it was unusual. Lots of people said at the time, "Why wait to the 30,000?" Why did you do that?
Well, I think it's really important that we build this party properly. Um, I didn't want to set up a party if I didn't think the British people were there and we didn't have the campaigning capability. We've proven both those things. It's also important to me, as I say, to build a proper machine. So we've got a proper. The first thing I did, even before we went for 30,000 members, was draft a really bulletproof constitution, which is democratic. It mirrors our own representative democracy. It creates the ability to bring in great minds and fearless speakers into the midst of the party so that we can develop the policies and the draft legislation that's going to be needed to save this country. That was the mechanics for that were all put in place before I went to the 30,000. Then I needed to check my own assessment of the British people's mindset, make sure we had an army, as it were. Now that's been done. Now we'll go for registration. Next few things that we've got to do is get into the British electorate psyche. That happens through these 30,000 people being activated, handing out leaflets, putting up Corex boards in windows, putting on bumper stickers on cars, me doing lots of podcasts like this, my college colleagues doing lots of podcasts, speaking at events. There's some big events coming up at which I'll be speaking, including our launch on the 27th of January. And getting the machine going. And alongside that, also, Andrew, now we'll be setting up committees to establish policies, committees to identify candidates to stand in forthcoming elections. The whole party machine is now going to grow from the solid foundations that we've given it.
Yeah, and that was one of the criticisms that you always said about reform. You always said it was like a fan club for Nigel Farage, as opposed to a proper party where members actually have rights. What rights do Advance UK members have?
So the first right they have is to hold whichever opinion they wish to hold, which might seem an unremarkable right, but it seems to be observed very rarely in British politics. So what we say to the British people is that all British citizens who are on the electoral roll are free to join the party, and you're free to hold whichever views you want privately. But obviously, when you join the party, you're naturally endorsing our mission statement and our policies. And if you don't like it, then you can leave the party. But we're not endorsing you. We're not taking responsibility for your views. So that's the first thing. There's a good foundational contract between our members and the party, clear delineation between what they can do and what we do, giving them maximum freedom. The other thing that they obviously get is regular updates on what we're doing and invited to campaign alongside us, understand how we're developing our movement, etc. But I suppose the most powerful, potent instrument that members have is the ability to remove any director of the party, including myself as leader, by a simple majority. And that is ultimate democracy. If they don't like it, they can call a meeting and boot me out.
Yeah, okay, and you've made that very clear, and I think that was one of the things you're saying about that Nigel Farage and reform is that effectively it's a sort of it is that sort of fan club. The first 30,000, you said they got a discounted rate of £10. What happens from now on? How much people have to pay?
So we haven't decided that. It's been on my mind overnight, actually, for a while, but particularly overnight, what we do with that. I think we're going to leave it at £10 for the short term, and we'll just reflect on whether it should go. I think it has to go up. Um, Whether we put it up to 20 or 30 is the big debate in my mind. I'm inclined to keep it as low as we possibly can.
Yeah, and that sort of makes sense. So the short answer is, I mean, sign up now. It's still only a tenner.
So yeah, sign up now. Absolutely. Certainly for the next week, we're keeping it at 10 quid. So sign up now.
Yeah. The other thing you're getting a lot of publicity about is the college, and every
Yeah.
now and again you're getting some wonderful names being released. Talk to me about that and how that works in practice, and talk to me about some of those names.
So the purpose behind there's multiple reasons for the college, multiple purposes. The first is that they provide a source of intellectual know-how. You know, they are the intellectual ballast of the party. So the great minds of our movement. Ideally, they should also be fearless speakers. We want people who are prepared to argue their case and stand their ground. We want people from across the United Kingdom in terms of sectorial experience, public sector experience, private sector experience, military, police, educational establishments, so that when it comes to policy making, we'll have the greatest minds on our side of the movement to be able to make the policies that we need to make, which will inevitably end up in draft legislation and then, onto the statute books, we hope. So that's really the the purposes behind the college. They too, through a vote of no confidence, can remove me. The college, which will number between 50 and 100 people when it's fully occupied, will have the ability to remove me with a vote of no confidence and appoint the next leader. That's a very significant task that they would have. Um, they come up for re-election. Every 10% of the college comes up for re-election every year. uh, there won't be election for a college member this side of the general election because we need to get going. But once we've gone through this general election, every year 10% of the college will come up for election. And so over a period of 10 years, the membership will have the ability to, either approve or remove from the college members that they don't like, members of the college that they don't like. And members at the moment, by the way, are free, and I encourage all members to put forward either themselves to be members of the college or to recommend people to us who should join the college. Of course, to be a member of the college, you also have to be a member of the party. That's a prerequisite. Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, and you've got some very good names in terms of that. I think you say that the role is unpaid, isn't it?
Yeah, so I should have mentioned this. This is critical. The role is unpaid. You cannot be a member of parliament or hold another public office while you're a member of the college. You cannot be a member of the executive of the party. You are entirely independent of the party structure, as it were. And that is crucial in my mind because it means that me, the leader, and the other executives can't exert influence on the college. The college will act by its own conscience. It can't be, I mean, so often you see members in a party being brought to heel by a leader offering them an ennoblement or a cushy seat or a job in the executive, and that hollows out the political philosophy of a party and its resolution to deliver on its purpose. And by keeping them entirely independent, I hope that they will make sure that the party doesn't become corrupted in any way.
Yeah, and as I said, you've got some wonderful names already connected. Can you talk to me about some of those names?
Yeah, so I name lots of different people, some of whom you would have heard of, some of whom you wouldn't. But Kathy Gingle, I'm sure you would have heard of her. She's the editor of Conservative Woman. She's been on our side of the movement, speaking bravely for a proud, independent, prosperous United Kingdom for years and years. Justin Downs is an individual who I've known for 30 years. He set up his own PR business. He's been on the edges of politics for as long as I've known him. Good, solid man. He's on the college. A chap called David Rhodes, who is one of the brightest, most capable, most humble, and most sincere individuals I've met. You probably haven't heard of him, but he does a lot of work behind the scenes, heavy lifting in terms of understanding the legal framework of the country and the various ideologies that are, being practiced in the country and how they damage us, etc. So that's David Rose. There's Aileen Quinton, who's from Northern Ireland. Aileen is responsible in many ways for me getting, as you might know, Andrew, I'm particularly engaged with Northern Ireland because I
Yes.
see it as a part of the United Kingdom that's under attack at the moment from the EU and others. And Aileen brought me into Northern Ireland, introduced me to Kate Hoey, to Jim Allister and others, and really engaged me in a way that brought Northern Ireland into my heart and into the party's heart. And Aileen is an incredibly clear thinking lady and fearless speaker. So she's in the college. And many, many more. I mean, I can keep going. Beppy, who else? There's Beppy. There's who's in it, who to look and feel is Italian, but he's a British citizen,
Right.
and he's an expert in cryptocurrency. A great, a great voice for all our values. He also sees the damage that's being done to Italy through the European Union, etc. So wonderful to have with us. Now, who else have we got in the college? We've got Norman Fenton, who's a professor of mathematics, an individual who knows a lot about the long march through the institutions because he comes from the educational establishment. So he knows what needs to be done to reverse the long march through the institutions, get rid of the Marxists who've infected our educational establishments. We've got Andrew Cadman, who has been fearless, again, writing many articles on Kathy Gingle's platform, was a member of UKIP, did lots of great things when he was with UKIP, and so on and so on. And we've got many people lined up
So
coming into the
it's a panel
college.
of experts. That's the basic sort of idea who
Yeah,
advise
yeah.
the policies. A couple of individuals, obviously, we should follow up on. Everybody's in social media. Every time I do one of these wonderful chats with you, people always say, "What's the latest about Rupert Lowe? Is he now going to join you? Where are we with Rupert?"
So I had a chat, an exchange of text this morning with Rupert, as it
Excellent.
happened, because we've hit the 30,000 members. And I've asked Rupert to consider whether now that we've hit 30,000 members, we've got a college that looks great, we're on the march. Does he now think that it's time to join a political party? Because you remember, he didn't want to join a
Yeah.
political party, he wanted to do his own movement. So I've left him with that thought.
Okay. He hasn't responded yet.
We had some exchanges. He's reflecting on it.
Oh, good. Well, that's a
Yeah,
positive side. Well,
yeah, yeah.
keep us posted on that. You've also had support from Elon Musk, and last time you were on the show, we
Yeah.
had you on with Elon's father, Errol. Has he been in touch again?
So, I mean, I don't know when it was you and I last corresponded, but Elon and I not frequently, but infrequently do exchange texts on DMs on X.
Yes.
And I sent him our announcement this morning, about which I hope he will be pleased. It shows we're winning, right? And so we're actually him endorsing us was. He put his faith in the right people, I think. And so I sent him that announcement, and let's see what he does with that. And yeah, I'm sure that relationship will develop as we go forward.
No, absolutely, and you certainly see that, and I see many of your posts are now being retweeted or re-xed by
Yeah.
Elon on that sort of basis. Obviously, Tommy's got his Peace Day coming up on the 13th. We've previously spoken about Tommy. Have you been invited to speak yet?
Well, I'm going to keep that under wraps if you don't mind, Andrew. Will you be there on the 13th?
I've got a media pass, one of those rare things. So Tommy's
Yeah.
very kindly
Yeah.
sorted out one of those. So I will be
Yeah.
covering that in an independent way. But yes, and interviewing the great and the good. But so there is the possibility you might actually come and speak.
There is every possibility of anything happening at any moment.
Well, I know when you were very candid about it beforehand. When you and I spoke about it, you did say, look, if invited, you would indeed speak. I presume that's still your position.
If invited, I will indeed speak.
And there's the possibility you might have been, but you can't tell me yet.
Just watch this space. You're doing you're doing you're doing too good a job as a journalist.
Oh, we love it. It's got to be good. I always give you the chance, and as you know, we get lots of comments about your interviews and people mentioning things, and it gives you an opportunity to respond to them. And I say my only mistress is the truth. Many people refer to an article that you were quoted in Business Insider, I think it was, in
Ah,
2019. I know, give you a chance to
yeah.
respond to it. I'll remind you what you said, and you can clarify this. It was about UKIP at the time. You said, rightly or wrongly, UKIP is seen as a xenophobic, perhaps racist, Islamophobic party on the right-hand fringe of politics, and I couldn't join a party with that sort of reputation. They've hired Tommy Robinson to advise them, and that pushes UKIP to the part of the political spectrum in which I simply do not belong and do not subscribe. What's your current position?
So that's very interesting. I'd completely forgotten I'd said that. I don't deny I said it. Um, that I think was the 6th of May 2019, if I'm not mistaken, which was about 2 or 3 weeks into my going into politics. And I was literally trotting out the Brexit Party line, which was given to us by the party that UKIP has gone all right wing, extreme right wing, swivel eyed lunatic. Since that article, I've been on a journey of my own. I've always been a believer in a proud, independent, prosperous United Kingdom, our borders, our sovereignty, etc., etc. What I hadn't appreciated was that there were many voices on our side of the debate which weren't entirely accurate or fair to their own. There's a propensity on our side of the debate to throw our own under a bus. And some people do it more frequently than others. I can name names if you want, but I think you know who I'm
Well, name
referring to.
names, name names. I say we
Well,
give everybody a chance to respond.
Farage is a great one for claiming he's centre right, and unless someone is of his political persuasion, he throws them under a bus. For him, it's not. He's incapable of uh, allowing people to come along with him. And there is this propensity, just to throw someone under a bus. Oh, they've gone too far, throw them under a bus. Richard Tice, oh, that lot. Oh, Tommy Robinson, he's a xenophobic, racist, whatever. And when I came into politics, I accepted that what I was told by the leader of the Brexit Party was true. Why would I not accept that? But I've been on my own journey and I'm learning that we need to be much more robust in the way that we assess individuals. We've got to be eyes wide open. We mustn't believe third party testimony all the time. More often than not, third party testimony is wrong. We've got to be brave enough to give people the benefit of the doubt. And we've got to make our own decisions based on our own empirical evidence. And having applied that kind of approach since I've been on my own journey, I've realized that what I first thought in 2019 wasn't true. I mean, the first awakening I had, Andrew, let me just say this. First I thought Boris Johnson was a believer in a proud, independent, prosperous United Kingdom. I believed he was a Brexiteer. I believed Michael Gove was a Brexiteer because he campaigned for it. I thought these people were good people. And now I realize, actually, they were fundamentally part of the problem. And so I believed what I was told by the Brexit Party, and I have a much lesser opinion now of Farage, as I'm sure you know.
Really? I haven't noticed that, Ben.
No.
Well, just dealing with so you're as far as Tom is concerned, you've had a sort of road to Damascus moment. Is that a fair way to put it?
Well, I'm not. I'm not. Look, I'm not in politics to make the case for Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, Michael Gove, or anyone else. I'm in the business of politics to serve the British people and to create a proud, independent, prosperous United Kingdom. I know I keep saying those three words, but I think it's essential to keep them absolutely in focus. Tommy Robinson is symptomatic of the way he's an example of a working class guy who identified a problem in society, spoke about it in a way which the establishment were not comfortable listening to. You know, they see him as a kind of ruffian, someone, and I'm sure there's a lot of class snobbery that goes into judging him. But in my mind, there's no doubt that he's been politically targeted. Lucy Connolly, let's just go down this road. It's an interesting road. Reform were nowhere to be seen after the protests in Southport. After Keir Starmer, not Boris Johnson, classified all protesters as far right, Reform were nowhere to be seen. They then got on the bandwagon a few months ago, banging the drum for Lucy Connolly because they realised that actually people had woken up to the injustices of incarcerating people who simply tweeted stuff. And they've woken up to Lucy Connolly. They still haven't woken up, though, to the fact that Peter Lynch, who was all similarly put into prison, hanged himself in prison. Then Reform is not prepared to talk about that. And Reform is not prepared to be honest and frank about why Tommy Robinson was put in prison last year. And if we're going to save this country, we've got to be honest and frank about everyone, whether we like them personally or not. And the crucial thing that Farage got wrong, Tice got wrong, and they repeatedly still getting it wrong, is it's not about Tommy Robinson. It's about the fact that this guy held some views which were perfectly valid views to hold. He may have even breached a civil suit injunction, but it was a political interference in his case that got him imprisoned. And if Farage and people can't recognize that and say it, then they're not fit to deliver this country away from the peril we face, because we've got to bring back equality under the law. And Tommy Robinson is an example of someone who has suffered from inequality under the law. And so that it's incumbent on those of us who want to save the country to recognize fearlessly what happened. Does that make
Oh
sense?
no, no, absolutely, and this is the
Yeah.
hot topic, isn't it? Freedom of speech is even in the White House this very week, with questions being asked with Trump and saying about freedom of speech. They're worried about the UK. Obviously, Graham Linehan, the father Ted, writer, brilliant comedian,
Well,
and so
there's
on and so
another
forth.
great example. Another great example. Yeah.
Um,
And
and,
so,
and obviously, for
yeah.
ongoing cases, we can't comment on specific things, but the generalities have got to
Yeah.
be right. It's freedom of speech, and it means it's freedom to listen and hear opinions from people who hate you or
Yeah.
disagree with you. That's the fundamental, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
It's fundamental. So it doesn't matter whether it's Tommy Robinson, Lucy Connolly, Peter Lynch, or anyone else. Everyone's got to be free to express themselves, and you can't pick and choose to whom you grant that privilege. It is a privilege that democracy affords everyone.
Yeah. A couple of very quick news stories. Obviously, you've got Angela Rayner's dramatic resignation. You and I spoke about it, about the hypocrisy of the various houses. More and more information has come out. What's your current view?
I think it's absolutely awful what she's been up to. It's not the first uh, scandal about housing, is it? I wasn't. Isn't? Am I right? Not right in saying that a decade ago he misrepresented whether she lived in her constituency or in a home outside her constituency. And now she's at it again. And she claims she'd taken advice on the stamp duty point from tax experts, and those same advisors said actually they provided no advice. It seems to me, and certainly the parliamentary standards into what's his name, Marcus something or the other, held up the complaint against her that she had effectively been less than candid in with the British people. And I mean, I think it comes down to diddling her taxes, doesn't it? And so what the hell is going on? The Deputy Prime Minister diddling her taxes, and Keir Starmer, so tin-eared to his own obligations and to the British people, came out and said he was so sad that she was leaving. He should be utterly blooming furious with her for her behavior and what she was doing.
Yeah, and you've made that very clear in your various posts. The other big news story is obviously Reform's UK conference in Birmingham, with Nigel Farage touting out "We'll make Britain great again." What did you think of that?
Well, just that statement shows me he's not fit to be prime minister because he should be talking. He never talks about the United Kingdom. He always talks about Britain. And whilst Britain could be extended to the British Isles, I think, less than conveniently forgets about Northern Ireland all the time. It's about making the United Kingdom. It's about uniting the kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
And I think, again, you've made that very, very clear. A lot of people say that part of the reason you keep banging on about Nigel is about resentment about your own treatment. How do you respond to that?
I wouldn't have set up a new political party if Reform had done its job. Um, of course, I'm upset with Nigel Farage because he holds or held, maybe still holds, he still holds the hopes and aspirations of the British people. But I know he's not going to deliver on it. So of course I'm upset with him. I'm upset with the blooming Conservatives. Why haven't they done their job? If they'd done their job, neither Farage nor me would have to be on the public stage. If Farage had done his job, I wouldn't have to be on the public stage. Can people just get on and save this country? Just get on and save the country, and then we can all go back to our normal lives. It's not about personal animosity. It's about recognizing the need to do what's right for this country, to deliver it away from the peril which it now faces. And if that isn't the Conservative Party and it isn't Farage, then it's going to be me. And I will speak out again without fear about Farage and the Conservative Party if they're not delivering. Of course I will, because they're now an impediment to the route to saving the country.
Yeah, and I think again we continue to look at that sort of side and the possibility of getting the different parties to unite as a general election comes a bit further forward. Just a couple of extra things just before I let you go. Some of your recent posts, you talk about Kensington Palace offering halal afternoon tea. Remind me what your views are on that.
So I can't understand why we would have a menu in Kensington Palace offering up halal food. We live in a constitution. Last time I looked, I mean, it's fast slipping away. It's one of the things Advanced UK needs to fix. We live in a constitutionally Christian country. If people don't want to eat stuff that isn't halal, they needn't eat the coronation chicken. That about the only thing on that menu, by the way, that needed to be halal was chicken. Everything else was cucumber sandwiches, scones, and whatnot. But they felt obliged to put halal on it. And it's not about them kowtowing to Islam in particular. It's the fact that they're kowtowing to a religion that's not part of our constitutional framework in one of our royal palaces. What is wrong with this country? What is wrong with Kensington Palace? Recognize that it's a Christian country. And if people don't like it, they can leave. Don't eat the coronation chicken, have the cucumber sandwiches.
It's got to make a lot of sense on that. Another thing that the various people and viewers of this wonderful show have said is, look, are you going to be putting forward an MP for every constituency?
Absolutely. I don't go into any fight not properly armed up.
Okay, and that all sounds pretty clear on that sort of base. So finally, we've talked about this beforehand, and you've always said you're holding back on policies until you've got all your ducks in a row. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's now the position. When can we expect to hear these policies?
Literally yesterday, I was texting some members of the college saying we now need to set up committees. We need to get people activated. Let's get policy making going. It's coming soon.
Coming soon is very good. Ben Habib, it's been
Yeah.
a pleasure having you on the show. Many congratulations again.
Thank you.
Do watch this space, and maybe I'll be seeing you on Saturday the 13th, and we can interview you from the stage of that march.
Thank you, Andrew.
Take care. Thanks, Ben.
All the best. Thank you.